Canto 1, Canto 1, Creation. Chapter 4, The Appearance of Sri Narada. Chapter 4. Vyasa uvacha iti bruvanam samstuya muninam dirghasatrinam vruddhah kulapati sutam bahvrachah shaunako bravit.
Hare Krishna. Vasudeva said, on hearing Suta Goswami speak thus, Shanuka Muni, who was the elderly learned leader of all the rishis engaged in that prolonged sacrificial ceremony, congratulated Suta Goswami by addressing him as follows.
Text 2. Shaunaka uvacha Suta Suta Mahabhaga Vadano Vadatamvara Katam Bhagavatim Punyam Yadaha Bhagavam Shukaha.
Shanuka said, O Suta Goswami, you are the most fortunate and respected of all those who can speak and recite. Please relate the pious message of Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by the great and powerful sage Shukdev Goswami.
Text 3. Kasmin yuge pravrutteyam stane vakena hetuna kutah samchoditah krishnaha krutavan samhitam munihi.
In what period and at what place was this fast begun? And why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Dvaipapanya Vasho, the great sage, get the inspiration to compile this literature?
Text 4. Tasya putro mahayogi samadrug nirvikalpakaha ekantamatirunnidro gudo muda iveyate.
His Vasudeva's son was a great devotee and equivalent monist, whose mind was always concentrated in monism. He was transcendental to mundane activities, but being unexposed, he appeared like an ignorant person.
Text 5. Drushtanuyantam rushimatmajamapyanagnam devyo hriya paridadurna sutasya chitram tadviksha pruchati munau jagadustavasti stri pumbidanatu sutasya vivikta druhtehe.
While Sri Vasudeva was following his son, beautiful young damsels who were bathing naked covered their bodies with clothes, although Sri Vasudeva himself was not naked, but they had not done so when his son had fasted. The sage inquired about this, and the young ladies replied that his son was purified, and when looking at them, made no distinction between male and female, but the sage made such distinctions.
Text 6. Katamalakshitah pauraihi sampraptah kuru jangalan unmattamukha jadavad acharan gajasahvaye.
How was he, Sri Shukdeva, the son of Vasho, recognized by the citizen when he entered the city of Hastinapura, now Delhi, after wandering in the provinces of Kuru and Jangala, appearing like a madman, dumb and retarded?
Text 7. Katam va pandave yasya rajarshermunina saha samvadah samabhutata yatraisha satvati shrutihi.
How did it so happen that King Parikshit met this great sage, making it possible for this great transcendental essence of the Vedas, Bhagavatam, to be sung to him?
Text 8. सगोदोहनमात्रं हि गृहेषु गृहमेदिनाम् आवेक्षते महाभागा स्तीर्तिकुर्वंस्तदाश्रमम्.
He, Sukdeva Goswami, was accustomed to stay at the door of householder only long enough for a cow to be milked, and he did this just to sanctify the residence.
Text 9. Abhimanyu sutam suta prahurбhagavaतोत्तमं tasya janma mahascharyam karmani cha gruhininaha.
It is said that Maharaj Parikshit is a great first-class devotee of the Lord and that his birth and activities are all wonderful. Please tell us about him.
Text 10. स सम्राट् कस्य वा हेतोहि पाण्डूनां मानवर्धनः प्रायोपविष्टो गङ्गायाम् अनादृत्यादिराट्श्रियम्.
He was a great emperor and possessed all the opulences of his acquired kingdom. He was so exalted that he was increasing the prestige of Pandu dynasty. Why did he give up everything to sit down on the bank of the Ganges and fast until death?
Text 11. नमन्ति यत्पादनिकेतमात्मनः शिवाय हानीय धनानि शत्रवः कथं स वीरः श्रियमङ्गदुस्त्यजाम् युवैषतोत्सष्टु महोसुहासुभिः.
He was such a great emperor that all his enemies would come and bow down at his feet and surrender all their wealth for their own benefit. He was full of youth and strength, and he possessed kingly opulences and were difficult to give up. Why did he want to give up everything, including his life?
Text 12. शिवाय लोकस्य भवाय भूतये य उत्तमश्लोकपरायणा जनाः जीवन्ति नात्मार्थमसौ पराश्रयम् मुमोच निर्विद्य कुतः कलेवरम्.
Those who are devoted to the cause of the personality of Godhead live only for welfare, development, and happiness of others. They do not live for any selfish interest. So even though the Emperor Parikshit was free from all attachment to worldly possessions, how could he give up his mortal body, which was a shelter for others?
Text 13. तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्य पृष्टो यदिह किञ्चन मन्ये त्वां विषये वाचां स्नातमन्यत्र छान्दसात्.
We know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects except some portion of the Vedas, and thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you.
Text 14. सूत उवाच द्वापरे समनुप्राप्ते तृतीये युगपर्यये जातः पराशराद्योगी वासव्यां कलया हरेः.
Suta Goswami said, when the second millennium overlapped the third, the great sage Vasudeva was born to Parashara in the womb of Satyavati and the daughter of Vasu.
Text 15. स कदाचित् सरस्वत्या उपसृज्य जलं शुचिः विविक्त एक आसीना उदिते रविमण्डले.
Once upon a time, he, Vasudeva, as the sun rose, took his morning ablution in the waters of the Saraswati and sat alone to concentrate.
Text 16. परावरग्नः स ऋषिः कालेनाव्यक्तरंहसा युगधर्मव्यतिकरं प्राप्तं भुवि युगे युगे. Hare Krishna.
The great sage Vasudev saw anomalies in the duties of millennium. This happens on the earth in different ages due to the unseen force of time. Hare Krishna, please forgive me for any mistake.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. The Gamya Mataji was so amazing. Perfect Sanskrit pronunciation. Amitari Mataji's, your English reading was excellent. In your accent of the sweetest language of the world, it was sounding even tastier.
Thank you,
So much.
Guruji.
Thank you so much. All the glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru and Gauranga.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So I'll just share my screen once again. Okay. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nastya Praeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. So we're reading verse 8 and discussing the translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. So I'll recite the verse once again. Sago dohana matram hi griheshu grihamedinam avikshate mahabhagas tirtha kurvam sadashramam. Sago dohana matram hi griheshu grihamedinam avikshate mahabhagas tirtha kurvam sadashramam. Word for word. Sah he Shukadev Goswami go dahana matram only for the time of milking the cow. He certainly griheshu in the house grihamedhinam of the householders avikshate waits mahabhagah the most fortunate tirthi pilgrimage kurvan transforming tat ashramam the residence. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. He, Shukadev Goswami, was accustomed to stay at the door of a householder only long enough for a cow to be milked, and he did this just to sanctify the residence. It's a small purport, so I'll just read it. Sorry, still a disturbance. Shukadev Goswami met Emperor Parikshit and explained the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. He was not accustomed to stay at any householder's residence for more than half an hour at the time of milking the cow, and he would just take alms from the fortunate householder. That was to sanctify the residence by his auspicious presence. Therefore, Shukadev Goswami is an ideal preacher established in the transcendental position. From his activities, those who are in the renounced order of life and dedicated to the mission of preaching the message of Godhead should learn that they have no business with householders save and except to enlighten them in transcendental knowledge. Such asking for alms from the householder should be for the purpose of sanctifying his home. One who is in the renounced order of life should not be allured by the glamour of the householder's worldly possessions. I read this again. One who is in the renounced order of life should not be allured by the glamour of the householder's worldly possessions and thus become subservient to worldly men. For one who is in the renounced order of life, this is much more dangerous than drinking poison and committing suicide. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaisnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sa Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Auravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adigaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Makam Karoti Vachalam Pangham Langhaide Giram Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam. Hare Krishna and welcome all on this Friday afternoon. Nice, very hot day today. Hope you all enjoyed the day, the sunshine, which is rare in this country. And so we are discussing the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, Appearance of Srila Narada Muni. And we are coming on to the verse number 8. So just to set the background, Sanaka Rishi is starting to ask questions as soon as Srila Sutta Goswami expressed a desire to recite Srimad Bhagavatam. Sanaka Rishi is glorified and he's gone into ecstasy hearing the intention of Srila Sutta Goswami to recite the whole Bhagavatam. And he is now asking the questions that will then set the background for the whole of first canto. So the remaining of the first canto will be answering the questions from Srila Shaunaka Rishi. And he's asking the questions about how did Srimad Bhagavatam appear and what was the scenario. So I will just read that once again. Maybe I'm better off here. Yeah, so in what period and what place was this first begun, and why was this taken up From where did Krishna Dwaiparayana Vyasa, the great sage, get the inspiration to compile this literature? And then about the Shukadeva Goswami, who was a great devotee, an equibalanced monist whose mind was always concentrated in monism. He was transcendental to mundane activities, but being exposed, he appeared like an ignorant person. And then goes on to glorify Shukadeva Goswami. And it comes to the point of today's verse. And before that, obviously asking what was the circumstance, what happened that King Parikshit met this great sage, making it possible for this great transcendental essence of the Vedas to be sung to him. Now, the nature of the Sukadeva Goswami was that he was accustomed to stay at the door of a householder only long enough for a cow to be milked. And he did this just to sanctify the residence. There is a term here, Griha Medhi. So somewhere else in the purports of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada explains a technical difference between Grahamedi and Grihasthas. Grahamedi, the householders who are busy in their household life, have no time for discussing the Krishna Katha. We discussed in the second chapter, this is beautiful word, Dharma Swarnustam Pumsa, Vishwak Sena Kathasuya, Na Padaye Yedirapim, Sama Evahi Kevalam. He says, even if someone is perfectly managing his or living in his dharma or in his ashram, but it is devoid of the discussion of the Supreme Lord, Vishwaksena Kathasuya. And it is not generating interest in the discussion of the Supreme Lord's pastimes. And it is Shama Evahi Kevalam. It's only hard work, only hard labor. So, in that scene, when Shukadeva Goswami is visiting the householders who are busy in everything apart from the Katha, Vishwaksena Katha, how long does Shukadeva Goswami say? Why does he go there? What is the intention of these great souls going door to door to Grihamedis and asking for little alms? Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport so beautifully that the purpose of visit by the great souls is only one, to give an opportunity to the householders to purify their existence. So they go at the time, it's a go dhana matram, only for the time of milking the cow. It takes how long to milk the cow? It takes about half an hour. And they go there when it is time. So the cows are milked in the morning and in the evening 2 times. In our Bhaktivedanta manner, we have, I think, about 14 milking cows. And they're milked every morning, every evening. And the milk is offered to Radha Gokulananda and also sent to Radha Landaneshwar. So you know how long it takes there. Sukadeva Goswami goes, waits for the householder to get some milk, and then he moves on. So Prabhupada in this particular purport is more explaining about the duty of a renounced person. The sayings, one who is in the renounced order of life should not be allured by the glamour of the householder's worldly possessions and thus become subservient to worldly men. And the activities of a renunciate is to just dedicate to the mission of preaching the message of Godhead to the householders. There's no other business. So what is the business? I was thinking, what is the business of the householders? Because this purpose mostly, most of us, I'm assuming, are in the Grihastha ashram that we are discussing. And probably I may not be the best person to say what renunciates should be doing and not doing. You can read from the purport, which is pretty good. Interestingly, there is another verse which is almost like a mirror verse when Parikshit Maharaj addresses Shukadeva Goswami. So I'm going to put that on the screen now. Yeah, 1939. Yeah, it says, this is Parikshit Maharaj speaking. Nunam bhagavato brahman griheshu grihamedinam na lakshatehe avasthanam godohanam na lakshate avasthanam api godohanam kvachit. And he's saying to Shukadeva Goswami, O powerful Brahman, it is said that you hardly stay in the houses of men long enough to milk a cow. It's interesting. Pretty much the same verse. Would anyone like to read the purport, please? Very interesting. This is the other side of the same verse, but now this is being spoken by Parikshit Maharaj, who is a householder. And what is the purpose saying here? You can read that.
Hare Krishna, Hari Prabhu, can I try?
Yes, Palikani, please.
Hare Krishna. Accept my humble obeisances. Saints and sages in the renounced order of life go to the house of the householders at the time they milk the cows early in the morning and ask some quantity of milk for subsistence. A pound of milk, fresh from the milk bag of a cow, is sufficient to lead an adult with all vitamin values, and therefore saints and sages live only on milk. Even the poorest of the householders keep at least 10 cows, each delivering 12 to 20 quarters of milk, and therefore no one hesitates to spare few pounds of milk for the mendicants. It is the duty of householders to maintain the saints and sages like the children. So a saint like Shukadeva Goswami would hardly stay at the house of the householder for more than 5 minutes in the morning. In other words, such saints are very rarely seen in the house of the householders. And Maharaj Parikshit therefore prayed to him to instruct him as soon as possible. The householder also should be intelligent enough to get some transcendental information from visiting sages. The householder should not foolishly ask saint to deliver what is available in the market. That should be the reciprocal relation between the saints and householders. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Maharaj. So this is these are the instructions for the householders. Very interesting instructions. And saying, Prabhupada is saying, say even a poor person, poorest of the householder keep at least 10 cows. So I don't know what is our condition there. 10 cows. Each delivering 12 to 20 quarts of milk. Yeah, I know. Our cows in the temple give about 8 to 10 to 12 liters sometimes each time. And it's probably the same. And therefore, no one hesitates to spare a few pounds of milk for the mendicants. The time has changed now, obviously. We don't have the cows in the city life that we live. Even in the villages also, it is very rare that someone has cows. And 10 cows. So this was the opulence of our country at the time, that even the poorest person would have 10 cows. That's a lot of milk. You can imagine each delivering 12 to 20 quarts of milk. So how much milk is generated? And there are so many verses that Prabhupada mentioned, like what should be your diet, how much milk and milk products we should be consuming in various forms: milk, yogurt, ghee, and all the cheese, the paneer, and all that. And it's difficult for us in today's day and time, but we can bring this to the context of what's possible today. So the principle is still the same. It is a duty of the householder to maintain the other three ashrams. So there are four ashrams: the Brahmacharya Ashram, there's Grihastha Ashram, there's Vanaprastha, and there's Sannyasas. So the other three ashrams, apart from the Grihastha Ashram, are not engaged in money making. They don't deal with the matter, so they are fully dedicated to the spiritual life. And their maintenance is dependent on the householder, on the Grihasthas. That means 3 of the 4 ashrams are being maintained by the household. That's a lot of responsibility, one sense. And so the householder has to not only look after the other ashrams, householder also has to look after its own house, the family, the children, and the other. And there is also the other responsibility that the householder has. So, what is the time to then do any spiritual practices? There is a whole chapter, of this discussion, and that discussion is between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Narad Muni. Yudhishthira Maharaj also asking questions to Narad Muni. After Narad Muni had explained the other 3 ashrams, he explained the Brahmacharya Ashram, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. He skipped in between the Grihastha Ashram. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj asked him the question about what is our duty. So for someone like me, Yudhishthira Maharaj says that I was dull-minded. He said that's amazing. Yudhishthira Maharaj saying that. That's the way the great souls would ask questions to the spiritual masters. That, for dull-minded, I'll probably read it now. Open the verse and it's amazing. 7:40. This says what? Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired from Narad Muni, "O my lord, O great sage, kindly explain how we who are staying at home without knowledge of the goal of life may also easily attain liberation according to the instruction of Vedas." Griya Muda Dhi, completely ignorant of the goal of life. This is our condition of the Grihasthas. This is how Yudhishthira Maharaj, who is the Dharmaraj himself, is presenting this question. And the whole chapter is on that discussion. And it may be interesting to just read the summary of the chapter. Would anyone like to read the?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'll try. So this one, yeah?
Yes.
This chapter describes the occupational duties of the householder according to the time, the country, and the performer. When Yudhishthira Maharaj became very much inquisitive about the occupational duties for the householder, Narad Muni advised him that the Grihastha first duty is to be fully dependent on Vasudeva, Krishna, and to try to satisfy him in all respects by executing one's prescribed devotional service. This devotional service will depend on the instructions of authorities and the association of devotees who are actually engaged in devotional service. The beginning of devotional service is a Shravanam, or hearing. Or hearing. One must hear from the mouths of the realized souls. In this way, the Grihastha's attraction to his wife and children will gradually be reduced. You want me to continue?
Yes, please.
As for the maintenance of his family, A grihastha, while earning what he requires for his living, must be very conscientious and must not undergo extraordinary endeavor simply to accumulate money and unnecessary increase in material comforts. Although a grihastha should externally be very active in earning his livelihood, he should internally be situated in a fully self-realized person without attachment for material gains. His dealings with family members or friends should not perform simply to fulfill their purpose. One should not be extravagantly engaged in this way. Instructions from family members and society should be accepted superficially, but in essence, the grihastha should be engaged in occupational duties advised by the spiritual master and shastra. Specifically, a grihastha should engage in agricultural activities to earn money. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 1844, Krishegor Rakshya Vanisyam, agriculture, agriculture, cow protection and trade are special duties of grihastas. If by chance or by the grace of the Lord more money comes, he should be properly engaged for the Krishna consciousness movement. One should not be eager to earn more money simply for sexual pleasure. A grihastha should always remember that the one who is endeavoring to accumulate more money than necessary is to be considered a thief and is punishable by the laws of nature. A grihastha should be very much affectionate towards lower animals, birds and bees, treating them exactly like his own children. A grihastha should not indulge in killing animals or birds for sense gratification. He should provide the necessities of life even to the dogs and the lowest creatures, and should not exploit others for sense gratification. Factually, according to the instruction of Srimad Bhagavatam, every grihastha is a great communist who provides the means of living for everyone. Whatever a grihastha may possess, he should equally distribute to all living entities without discrimination. The best process is to distribute prasadam. A grihastha should not be very much attracted to his wife. He should engage even his own wife in serving a guest with all attention. Whatever money a grihastha accumulates, by grace of God, he should spend it in 5 activities, namely, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, receiving Vaishnavas and saintly persons, distributing prasada to the general public and to all living entities, offering prasada to his forefathers, and also offering prasada to his own self. Grihastas should always be ready to worship everyone as mentioned above. The grihastha should not eat anything not offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As it is said in the Bhagavad Gita 3:13, Yajnas sistasnaha santo muchyate sarva kilvas sat. Sorry, I can't see it very well. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food that is offered first for sacrifice. The grihastha should also visit the holy place of pilgrimage mentioned in the Puranas. In the way, he should fully engage in worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the benefit of his family, his society, his country, and humanity at large. Haribo.
So much, Mataji. There you go. All the instruction that we would need are here. How we should be living our life, what we should be doing. It's interesting. The Prabhupada says we should be engaged in occupational duties advised by spiritual master and Shastra. And it says specifically Grihastha should engage in agricultural activities to earn money. Any idea of why is it agriculture? Why does the scriptures say that Grihastha should be more engaged in the agricultural activities and not the other activities?
Because it's providing necessary nourishment by being engaged in agriculture. So you're doing the nature's way of living, I suppose. I'm not sure.
Yes, that's definitely a right answer. Any more answers?
It means you to grow your own vegetables, your own, because it, without any sort of pesticides to be used. So it
Yes.
gives you more sort of natural, taste rather than
Yes.
getting that. Yeah.
Yes. We are at the temple, we have a farm, we're growing an 8-acre land, we're growing vegetables. I think everyone should come and visit a little bit and maybe do some seva as well. We need a lot of help there. But we use cow dung, purely cow dung, nothing else, as Mataji is saying. But there is a philosophical answer to this. So why depending on agricultural activities? It's also said in the the other scriptures or the Subhashit verses about the Uttama trade, how do you say, the engagement is, the topmost engagement is agriculture, Krishi. And the reason that is explained is in agriculture, we first of all deal with the Mother Earth. So, and then we sow some seeds. And we wait, we just pray for the rains. The rain should come at the right time. We should, in this time, we have right sunshine. So it actually creates a lot of dependence on the Lord. Agriculture is a lot of dependence on the Mother Nature, on the Lord. Not only that, also it is not Ugra Karma. And obviously these days also agriculture has become Ugra Karma by all the Mataji was saying, all the fertilizers being thrown in and everything. The soil is destroyed completely. So those Guru Karmas are not done, and just the life, the Vedic life that Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining us is we should have, even the poorest people should have 10 cows, and then we should be living on agriculture. We have a simple life. That Prabhupada used to say a lot of time about simple living and high thinking. The simple living, obviously, more in the context to apply, is not necessarily that we all go into agriculture, but the principle of simple life is necessary to maintain our spiritual life. High thinking, to maintain the high thinking. Otherwise, when we perform Ugra Karma, I'm not reading from different purposes, I'm reading from Bhagavatam. It creates so much disturbance. Like that's why it says in Kali Yuga, everyone is disturbed because people's engagements, occupations, and how we make our living has changed so much that we are less dependent on the Lord and we are more sort of dependent on our own activities or manufacturing different things, and pretty much on the verge of destroying the Mother Earth. There are so many examples. Don't need to say everyone is aware of what the situation of the environment and the environment, in the sense not only the earth, the air, the water, everything's polluted. There's a huge problem of biodiversity, all sorts of problem because people are not living natural life.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, is that a good example, the eco village in Hungary? They are actually,
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
yes, they are they're following the good way of living, the self-sufficient and recycling. Yeah.
It's so amazing. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's the whole example of how we could be living. It's austere. I think the problem is we're not used to austere life. And it becomes difficult. When we are trained from young age, maybe we can. Right? So it is, but it is actually fulfilling. It does not. It's also in the sense of doing some research on this. People who work with the soil, even they have less diseases as compared to the people who work the other activities. It's more demoniac sometimes. Could be, Okay, I'll move on to that. I think the purpose is more about the agricultural activities definitely should be done. And we need help in the manor farm. We've done lots of vegetables planting there. But if anyone would like to have a experience of farming a little bit, and you can come and discuss that. That's beautiful. Okay, so the other aspect that this chapter explains is the Grahastha should be very much affectionate towards lower animals, birds and bees, and treating them exactly like his own children. I know a friend of mine, and he had his spiritual master visit his home, and then he happened to visit the back garden, and he was looking for the bird feed, and says, "How come you're a girl? There's no bird feed in your back garden, and there's no water for the in the particular hot weather like today. There is, if birds are looking for water, if there's not enough water, they have to go around different places." I was also there in the assembly. I was so amazed. Wow, this is all coming from Srila Prabhupada, from the Bhagavatam. Then Narad Muni will explain all these things. How Narad Muni explain even to the snakes, Grahastha should be merciful for the mice, for the snakes. And Prabhupada gives examples in the purport about even the mouse. Sometimes people put some mouse poison and all that to kill them. That's also demoniac. Prabhupada explained that. The Grahastha should be feeding all of them. So in fact, it says that before a Grahastha takes his prasad, he has to get out of his door and shout 3 times, call anyone is hungry, and wait anyone comes and feed someone before they can have their own prasad. On that point, I remember the story of Rantidev. Anyone knows Rantidev's story? I would like to speak quickly. I'm sure a lot of you know it. Rantidev? Anyone? No. Okay, so I'll speak quickly. So Rantidev was a king, and in the lineage of Bharat Maharaj. He was a great devotee, and there's this an example of that verse that Bhagavad Gita says, or Vidya Vinay Sampanne, Brahmane Gavyastini, Suni Chaiva Pakecha, Pandita Samadarshana. He was equal, he had equal vision to all living entities. He was only seeing the Lord within the heart of everyone. Yeah, this is the character of Rantidev king. And he was very austere, and he would fast many times. One time he was fasting for 48 hours. 48 hours he had not taken anything. And just when he was about to have his prasad, then what happens is then a Brahmana comes to his his palace, and he has to then immediately he stops, and then he gives feeds the Brahmana first. And as soon as the Brahmana goes, someone else comes along and he's hungry. Then the Chandala comes and he has some dogs and he used to feed the dogs. And he just, every time someone comes, he's about to have his prasad, and someone comes on the door and he gives whatever is his share, gives to them. Finally, he was just left with the water. Even when he was, it said even as he was in water, and that time itself, there's someone else comes and says, I'm so thirsty. And he gives away his water also. And obviously after that, it's explained that it was the Devas, the Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, actually testing him. But sets an example of how he was receiving his guests. So first feeding the guest. And there's also the story of Yudhishthira Maharaj and the Durvasa Muni arrives. You know that Akshay Bhatta story. And the Yudhishthira Maharaj, everyone had by the time already taken the sadhana. That was organized by the
it's nice. For belt, belt, method.
Sorry. Yeah, so and then there was so much anxiety to feed Durvasa Rishi, and then there is story of Ambarish Maharaj we discussed last time, and how he was just breaking the Ekadashi fast, and Durvasa arrives, and he was he could not have taken anything unless he feeds the guest. So it is. We also had a in Bhaktivedanta manner. Every year we used to have a particular theme. In one year, I remember we had a theme of Atithi Devo Bhava. Atithi Devo Bhava. Atithi. Does anyone know what Atithi means?
Yes.
Guest, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yes, please speak on.
The guest are the Atithi.
Huh? Yes.
One comes without notice.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Atithi. Tithi means like a date. Tithi is the date. Atithi means who comes unannounced or without saying. That's the Atithi. So Atithi Devo Bhava. That's the culture that we have in the Vedic life. That whoever guest comes unannounced, and we just serve them, with all our hearts. And in fact, there is also actually there's a hell specifically created. I was reading in the 5th canto. Scary, that one. It says that a householder, yeah, it's interesting. It says it's in the 5th canto, 26th chapter, 35th verse. The householder who receives guests or visitors with cruel glances, as if to burn them to ashes, is put into the hell called Paryavartana, where he is gazed at by hard-eyed vultures, herons, crows, and similar birds, which suddenly swoop down and pluck out his eyes with great force. That's scary. Sorry to read that even. But that's how much is actually emphasis is placed on receiving the guests, feeding them properly. And that culture that we had in the Vedic life is obviously going away with the modern life. It's so difficult, but we still see, I think devotees go out, book distribution, sometimes they distribute very well, sometimes not so well. There is some culture there, but it is it is disappearing very fast. And so this is the reason, as we were saying before, the householder is the protector and the maintainer of all the other ashrams, all the 3 ashrams. It is a duty of the householder to do that. Other interesting point in this summary of the chapter was, I'll open that again, sorry. That sorry. Yes. A grahastha should externally be very active in earning his livelihood. So in the grahastha life, we have to, because we're engaged in the businesses, we different trade, we go out, we work, we meet other people, we discuss, we have some sort of relationship. When you work with someone in the corporate life day in, day out, a lot of us do that, and we have to deal with them. And how do we deal with them? And it says, Prabhupada says very interesting thing. He says he should be, instruction should be, sorry, I just, okay, so the essence was, after grahastha to externally be very active in earning his livelihood, he should internally be situated as a fully realized person without attachment for material gains. His dealings with family members or friends should be performed simply to fulfill their purpose. One should not be extravagantly engaged in this way as well. So there is also instruction given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami was, was even from the very young age, he was very renounced. Like he is the epitome of renunciation. He should take only a palm full buttermilk every day to survive. So we can't imitate, we can only just appreciate. And but Mahaprabhu gave him very interesting instruction. He said, "Bhalo na khaibe, bhalo na peribe, gramme katha na karibe, Ramakatha na shunibe. So that means bhalo na khaibe, bhalo na peribe. So don't eat very lavishly. Don't wear very, extravagant clothing. And then Gramya Katha, that's the more important thing, because for preaching, in Prabhupada allowed even going in suits and everything. But the Gramya Katha is the main thing that we need to avoid. It's very difficult, or very actually easy sometimes, to get into a conversation and start discussing the politics and what's happening in the world outside and this and that. So Srila Prabhupada is mentioned in many, many places about how we should avoid that, the mundane discussion, how, and that can actually create disturbance in our spiritual life as well. The Grahastha, although he's actively working with the world outside, but internally he's not engaged in the friends or the family members like we to do. We have to do whatever we have to do as part of, relationships. We attend certain weddings. I was in a wedding a few months ago, and we do so many things to maintain that. For the purpose of preaching, we do all that, but we should not, give our heart. As example was given by Bhakti Samat Maharaj once when he was giving a talk on this subject about the monkey and the crocodile story. The monkey was riding, and it says, riding the crocodile, goes to the island, and it says, "Well, I want to eat you," and it says, "No, I left my heart." So don't give your heart to the outsiders, but we still can engage with them. So that's other instruction that we have received from Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas. And there is some more, 44. Okay. So, yes, there's also about the Panchayagya. Prabhupada explained this so beautifully. Panchayagya that is explained in various scriptures, like Panchayagya that a householder should be performing, the Rishi Yagya, like discussing the scriptures, like we are now discussing Srimad Bhagavatam done by Srila Prabhupada. So this is a seva, this is a yagya we're performing. Deva yagya, like worshipping of the demigods. This is all shown in the scriptures. Pitru yagya, worship, offering oblations to the forefathers and to the general public, and the bhuta, to the lower animals. But Srila Prabhupada has beautifully converted those 5 different yagyas into another interesting aspect, that we should be offering. It says, whatever grahastha accumulates by the grace of God, he should spend in 5 activities, namely worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The topmost devotional activity that is assigned to the grahastha is deity worship. And deity worship is a must for grahastha, Prabhupada says, to control our senses, we have to serve someone, and we're busy in deity worship right from the morning until the night. There's so many other, so many places this has been explained, and how that helps the grahastha to remain engaged in the devotional service and serving the Supreme Lord. We have so many devotees. Shailesh Prabhu has beautiful deities. Everyone has deities at home. We've all been advised to have some deities, Gaur-Nithaya, Jagannath, or Radha Krishna, or whatever deities we are inspired, and we can serve. And the first is worshipping the Supreme Lord, then distributing prasad to the general public. So we do all that distribution of prasad, and distribution happens, and to all the living entities. Then we offer prasad to the forefathers. That's interesting. And they offer prasad to oneself as well. So that's the thing. So whatever we offer to the Lord, that's the only prasadam we get. We don't eat outside, as per the instructions here. And these are the 5 beautifully converted, yagyas by Srila Prabhupada. So that's 45. I think I'm going to now stop here. There's a lot more to say, but it's difficult to carry on like this. So any point of discussion or questions?
Hey Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji. Oh, sorry, let Mataji go first.
Please carry on, Shailesh Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
No, it has to go in seniority. So you must go, Palika Mataji first.
Thank you so much. But, you're so elevated. I don't want to take your time. That's why I said. Only thing I just wanted to mention that when we are growing up, because it wasn't a big city, we had enough place and land to do all the things. So we had there were 32 acres of land. So
Wow.
all our family, all the rice and everything used to come from all our vegetables. Everything used to come from there. We had 4 cows at home, and
Wow.
so we were very, very self-sufficient. My father was the only person who used to work, and we are 8 children in the family. So
Oh.
everything was maintained because we had the big land and we had the cows. So, and now parents are not there, and everybody's so like a small family. It's also the place is not conducive. I mean, now its house is everywhere. You can't have cows in the home. So that's why I'm just wondering. And I saw how it was all the rice and vegetables, everything was grown at home, and the land we had. So we are very, very self-sufficient, and it was so helpful for a big family like ours, because my father was the only person earning, and all the children were studying. So it was like Srila Prabhupada says, self-sufficiency is very important. So I just
Amazing.
thought,
Yeah,
child.
at the time. And then people used to live in a joint family, so everyone would work together, everyone would put effort in the farm, and
Yeah,
they cook in one place, they eat one. That was a
it was very peaceful, very peaceful. Thank you.
beautiful. So much, and so much. There was the right cooperation. Then there was,
Yes, with everybody.
and obviously the cooperation was only possible if there was proper deity worship at home, I think.
Yes, definitely. We had our own little deity room. So every morning we used to sit. We used early in the morning because we had another temple near us. So whatever they used to do, early morning, get up, do their prayer. We used to do the same. In the evening, we used to do the same. So our life was like that. It was so
Amazing.
wonderful.
Until how old were you there, Mataji? The time?
I mean, we had the land until we were about 15, 16, and then my father was getting old, so they couldn't. So yeah,
Amazing.
it was very nice, very nice.
Wow. So you grown up in that, grown up with the cows, you grown up with the.
Yes, I used to milk the cows. I used to milk.
Really? Wow.
Yes, we all knew how to milk the cow because
Amazing.
the cow shed was inside our home. We had big courtyard, and
Yeah.
the cow shed was there. We had three cows. And we knew when they were going to have baby, and sometimes they used to have the baby outside, and in the evening they used
Yeah.
to come with the baby home. It was like that. It was very natural living we had. Just think of all those days. I thought I mentioned. Thank you. Hare.
Also, like, the sages would come visit your houses, like.
Yes, we had all the we had an ashram next to us, so all the sages would come and sannyasis would come and visit our house. It was like that way it is being described in the book. So it's
Yes.
really nice.
Lilamrita as well, it says how Prabhupada's father used to always serve the visiting sadhus.
Yes, our home was like, when there was a festival, there were a lot of sannyasis used to come. They used to take prasad in our home. So
And they would come uninvited sometimes,
yes.
knock on the door, and then
We don't have to invite people. I mean, in our house, like my brother's friend, they couldn't afford to stay in the, and then my mother said, yes, you're going to college, and they will come and stay, and whatever we eat, they will eat. So they used to come and stay in our house. We thought they were our own brothers, like the way they were living, and it was like that. The guests would come anytime.
one of the point I missed to speak was like, yes, a little, just half minute. So one other aspect that was in the purport that we could not discuss was what is the real duty or the gift that is given by these visitors, sadhus, when they come to our house. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that what they really offer is the fearlessness, because when they come and they explain the Krishna's pastimes, discussing different leela, and then scriptures, and they would visit our houses, they would discuss these pastimes, they would enlighten us, they can remind us that who we really are. And at the basic level, at least, take us out from the bodily conceptions or bodily consciousness.
Yeah,
And
that's
that would give us fearlessness. That when we see them, thing is, when we see them, we see that, okay, this person is coming. He's completely dependent on the Lord. And I'm like, every day, I'm so much stressed about what's going to happen to this and that, this and that. But here's a visitor, all he's doing is just, is glorifying the Lord. He's going around and he's able to maintain himself. And Krishna is maintaining everyone. But we have to take so much. So looking at that person, not only even if he doesn't speak, sometimes we're just looking at that, sadhu. You think this is amazing. This is, this person, this sadhu is fully dependent on the Lord, and he's being looked after. So we will also be looked after. Yes, sorry, Shailesh.
thank you, Hari.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for a wonderful class. You bring so much innocent purity to your classes. So it's so lovely listening to you. It's really nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your encouragement. Yes,
Just a couple of things, some beautiful points you brought up today. This Atiti Deva Bhava is such an important cultural and Vaishnava trait that I think we've forgotten. Even friends and family and those that are close to us, we don't treat well enough. In our culture, we're supposed to treat even enemies with such pure and love. If an enemy turns up, then you must be able to leave with full satisfaction. It's how deep is our culture. Think about it. How deep is it? Yeah. Another beautiful point I made was how Prabhupada emphasized deity worship for householders. It's such an important element. It's transformed our lives to have that personal relationship which you can have with the deities at home, which you can't necessarily have with deities at the temple. Yeah, of course you can. You're very strong. But when you serve deities at home, even if it's a picture, you will find a reciprocation from them at such a personal level. It's unbelievably magical. It really is unbelievably magical. And your kind of spiritual life will take leaps and bounds because of that relationship you develop with the Lord on a daily basis. They're like a family member, not with, not getting complacent about understanding of awe and reverence, but, just generally. So it's such an important thing that Prabhupada emphasized, and it would be nice if it's encouraged all the time for all householders to have some form of simple worship at home. So thank you for bringing that point up.
Thank you. Yeah, that's your personal realization, though, isn't it? You're doing such amazing deity service at home, and that's you're speaking with so much realization. Thank you so much for it. Okay, there's a very interesting question. Thank you so much. So, what about safety factors in serving unknown guests? There is Bhagavatam also, it speaks about this. Thank you for raising this, Sarvi Mataji. It says that we have to have some discrimination as to how we deal. For example, Bhagavatam says, like if, let's say, the monks living in the forest, and they would take care of the other animals, but they would not be friendly with everyone. For example, they would feed a tiger as well, but they would not try to make friendship with the tiger, because you can't make friendship with the tiger. So we have to always have the discrimination of what relationship we can have with the guest, and serving at the same time, making that discrimination. So intelligence is always handy. So we have to have that judgment, and somehow, Krishna within the heart, gives us a judgment as to who we should be serving and how we should be dealing with the unknown guest. Somehow, it's not even applicable to his life. I've never had anyone on my door here in this country as well, at least in the 1820s, apart from the MPs sometimes knocking doors asking us to give the vote to them. Otherwise, even the friends here call and they send a message, can I come to you tomorrow, this time or that time? Back home, it was not like, when I say back home in India, like people just turn up anywhere, they ring a bell and they're home. But definitely that discrimination is required. Surabhi Mataji, thank you so much for raising. and we have to look for our safety, absolutely, and not, you know, not without judgment. We can't do anything without judgment. Everywhere we need a judgment. It's required, definitely. It is very detailed. I'm not able to remember where, but it's very detailed description provided for how this discrimination can be made. You know, to whom we should be friendly, to whom we should not be friendly. Or we should, in a sense, we should be friendly. We should be in a serving, but that's it. Keeping distance. At work, also, we're in the same situation. Keep distance from some people who are not so keen in the spiritual life, and some who are, we try to please them, give them prasad, and you know, sometime we can invite them home. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Thank you for a wonderful class. It's linked to Atiti Bhava, but my experience, I just wanted to share that, you know, the householder's responsibility was also to make sure that no one around is going hungry before they ate the meal. And I remember distinctly going to India, and my grandmother would wait for the last bus to go from her town before she ate her last meal.
Wow.
Yes. I distinctly remember she would say, is it this time? The last bus is now gone. That means no one is going to come unexpected. So I will now eat my meal. So I'm thinking such beautiful culture that was, you know, that to make sure that everyone sort of who's maybe unexpected guests who may have come in that last bus should be fed. And yeah, some wonderful traditions, I thought.
What amazing. Thank you so much. In last bus, she will wait until before she.
Yes, yes, yes.
So natural. What a culture we had is so amazing, isn't it?
Yes, amazing.
There'll always be some. I remember, like my mother used to. She'll always have some extra chapati, something, just in case someone comes.
Yes.
Always have some food at home.
Absolutely. Yeah. From a very rich culture, definitely.
Very
Amazing.
good culture.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for
Thank you.
reminding me that.
Prabhupada is bringing all that. So in the temple, we always have to, always be serving prasad, and we've been given, you know, such beautiful, bringing back the same culture by Prabhupada's mercy. Everything's happening again. Thank you so much. That was really amazing. Waiting till the last bus is gone. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Wonderful class. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the presentation was much better. I'm telling you, it was amazing. So perfect. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Paul.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for a nice
Thank
class.
you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you for the wonderful class.
Oh, it's pretty late. Prabhuji, I'm just wondering how
Thank
possible,
you.
how practical is it to for the common working man to follow these activities, the simple activities that is described and prescribed, the 5 simple traditional activities. Is it possible? Because I was struck when it says if you eat without offering to Krishna. So if you're working away, and we fall into the conditioned life of having habits to eat without thinking sometimes because you're in a hurry.
Yeah. I'll
That
tell you,
is,
I'll tell you what I've seen in some places, and actually my mother does as well. So because in the morning if she's not cooking, see what happens, mother, is we can offer, you know, even the mishri, you know, what do you say, crystal sugar, and so we can have, as Shailesh Prabhu was saying, even we can have a picture of the deities. It can't have the deities fully, but we build up that relationship. And then the offering, we don't have the time in the morning. We just offer a little bit of nuts and some sugar, crystal sugar, and then that we can distribute to anyone. When we go to work, just give someone something.
yeah.
It's amazing how we can do it. Very simple. Also, if we maintain the principle, in the details could be managed. The principle is that. So even if we can't cook properly, we can't do everything. Just offer a little bit of sugar candy or something like that. That's also amazing. That's being done actually. I've seen in my home as well. Like my mother, I said, well, we are cooking. She said, no, this is what I do every day anyway. And she will always carry in a little purse all this. If she finds someone, she gives that person. Okay, take this. So I think, yeah, it can be done, but yeah, it's just a matter of practice, Mataji. So I think the main principle is Deity Worship, as Prabhu was, sharing his personal realizations, that somehow or other we find a little time to develop that relationship with the deity at home. And that serving mood, when with serving, because we're in the Grahastha ashram, we live with a serving mood, we develop that, because it's very difficult to have that serving mood outside, it's all sorts of disturbance. But we have the Supreme Law at home in whatever form, and then we just develop that love and the serving and serving. And what the beautiful thing is, once we have the intention, Krishna will manifest everything. As so many devotees have shared this experience, like once we have a desire, and automatically the job becomes easier, the deities come from nowhere, some facilities are created, everything happens. I'm sure you have already got this experience, you're just asking for everyone. But yeah, so many devotees have shared, like just the desire. All that we need is to begin with this desire and the Shraddha and the faith, and things manifest.
Hare
Does that
Krishna.
make sense?
Yes, of course. I mean, I have subtle consciousness about things happening without me, thinking that Krishna's done it. And then I become conscious that he is, and it comes to life, and it's real,
Yeah.
But they're very subtle and very small doses at the moment. I'm growing, little by little.
Thank you so much. The two things, Mother, faith and gratitude.
Yeah.
We have the faith, and we find gratitude, find different reasons to be grateful. Everything happens. Happens. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
We'll just add a little bit to that as well in terms of offering. It's wherever you are, even if you're not at home, whatever you may end up with having to eat, even if it's a packet of crisps, we kind of brought the kids up so that even when they open a packet of crisps, they first offer it to the Lordship in their mind. And that's a simple process, no matter where you are, what you do. As Jolly Mata just said, working man, you can still be adapted to whatever situation we're in. Even if you end up having to be in a restaurant, you can offer before what you eat in your mind to the Lordship, so that at least you honor it and offer it to them first. And that it's just, as you rightly say, it's just a matter of habit and practice. And once you get into it, it's such a powerful transformation of your life. Everything you will see, wherever you are, anywhere you are, that way the consciousness always shifts to Krishna and saying, I should offer everything to him first. And it's a simple thing, but when you practice it, it becomes very, very powerful.
Wonderful.
So, thank you.
I do believe that, but I've struggled with it sometimes when I forget. It really upsets me, and I think, oh, not again, I've forgotten.
No upset, no guilt feeling, Mataji.
Yeah.
Can carry on. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.